Good morning, everyone, and welcome to all the media present this morning to this media briefing. We greet you all in the name of God Almighty, and peace be to you all. Welcome to the Administrative Head Office of the International Pentecost Holiness Church. We are aware that you have a very busy morning. You need to be elsewhere still this morning, so we are not going to keep you long. Will be very short, and of course allowing time for Q&A as well. My name is Vusi Ndala, and I'm the priest, to be religiously correct. I speak on behalf of the IPHC in Jerusalem, and with me, I'm with my colleague, Mr. TSHEPO PHUTHI, who is a spokesperson for our father, known to you, ladies and gentlemen, as Comforter Michael Sandlana. Throughout this conference, we will address him as our father, so that we observe the protocol of addressing him not in his name, as it were. So we will address him as our father throughout the conference, so that it's clear to you when we say our father, whom we are referring to. We have convened this media briefing not to state the obvious. It is on the back of the sinister trends and developments that we have monitored and observed in the last couple of weeks, if not months. These trends are very worrying. They project a negative image of the IPHC in Jerusalem, especially our father. So we are here, Mr. TSHEPO PHUTHI will address you on matters that are of personal interest to our father, and when he's done to address you, and then I will come and address you on matters related to IPHC, which they happen to be involved also on personal matters. I'll now hand over to you, to Mr. TSHEPO PHUTHI, to address you. Thank you. Mr. PHUTHI, over to you.
Thank you for the opportunity, Priest. Let me also take the time to welcome all members of the media. I have a written speech that I need to read out to you, but what I would rather attempt to do is to speak over it. And then, what we seek to address is that, as Priest Ndala has said, that in my capacity as a spokesperson for our father, I speak on his behalf. And you would know that there has been a lot of media coverage around our father and the characterization that has been made around him, that he is a cheat, he is a liar, he is a fake, and that entire characterization that has been advanced towards him, he has elected not to really address the media on those accusations at all. And part of the reason for it is that, as you know, that it's cultural within our institution that we should not deal with personal matters within a media space. It is issues that needs to be addressed privately, but part of what causes us to really speak at this point is that these attacks have spilled over into the following of the IPHC members, and the spillage is such that there is a personal attachment that has been directed towards them. And that personal attachment has been in part of the latest distribution of Little Last Chavo from the SABC, where members of the church has been labeled to have included them and labeled the estranged wife of our father as a gold digger. And they attack her personally in a personal matter. But we don't necessarily want to respond to that, but what we want to make the media aware of is there are certain issues when they are raised from one perspective and one context, And we just seek to give you full context of, in this personal matter, our father has got no issue at all with the divorce action that has been advanced. He would love for it to come to an end amicably so, but there are restraining factors attached to it. And the demands is estranged wife Mahalane has not advanced to the media public, is that in the divorce she is making certain requests, and the requests that she's making, we are publicly saying it right now, we are not distributing through fake accounts. That she demands, I will put it up front, is that she demands a 20 million life cover, that she's the only beneficiary against the life of our father. That's the one biggest requirement that she has. And then she has got, while she's also doing the divorce, she's got other financial demands. In her personal capacity, she's requesting a monthly maintenance of about 70,000 and closer to 20,000 for the child as well, cumulatively coming to almost about 110,000 a month. An upfront legal amount of 150,000. Now, these financial demands are demands that we have not publicly spoken about, but there is pockets and people that know of it. So if it is that they characterize her as a gold digger, it is not the church that's saying she's a gold digger. So we urge and we try and make you aware that in the midst of those demands that exist, our father is saying if demands are reasonable and those are the financial demands, if they are affordable, then it's fine, it will be settled. But in the absence of that, but if it is that they make it public and if anyone chooses to characterize it in any particular way, it is not a matter that we have got control over. The other demands that gets advanced as well as part of this is, it's a personal matter, but she includes the church in it. And the way she includes the church, and Priest Ndala will speak much more about that when he gets to speak, is that part of what was required as her divorce action was that there needs to be a financial settlement. And in that financial settlement, she demands financial statements, tax submissions of all entities where our father is a director, a trustee, a donor, and now the structures that she wants the financial statements for, those happens to be structures that belongs to the church. And he is one of the directors, he's not just the only director. And such is the IPCC, the transacting entity, the IPCC Property Trust, which as well holds a number of properties on behalf of our father's children. And there is also other trusts that exist, and that is the Pulukano Trust. Now, making financial demands into those entities brings the church into the matter. And then the church needs to respond and protect in the interest of the following: the properties and whatever it is, income that is derived into these structures. And now, the church then unfairly gets labeled that they enter into a fray that does not belong to them. And factually speaking, the church would exit this if it is that she withdraws her demands linked to the church matters. So I think I've tried to give you context on financial demands and how the church links into it. There are other attacks that gets advanced towards our father and anybody that is linked to him. And amongst those, you would also know that there is a case that's even against myself relating to a Mercedes-Benz that has been moved out of a name into an entity. The matter is in court, but it gets advanced in the media that it's been done fraudulently. Her lawyers are writing to us demanding answers on how it's done, but she has laid a charge, and the charge that she has laid is in front of a court. So we are just asking that let her give the court a chance to adjudicate on the matters that she has put in front of them. The other is a fraud charge against our father. The same modus operandi is followed. The other type of attacks that come, it's through other media houses, but like any other institution, there is good and bad, and perhaps even if it is that we might characterize it as bad, we are just saying to the media that the media has got the responsibility to treat everyone fairly and become factual and be accurate and balanced. But where it is that we do realize that there is bias, then we will follow protocol and go to institutions that can protect our interest in matters that has been reported. It is known that Sunday World has reported labeling our father as a cheat, a liar. There is no media response that has been done in that regard, but litigation has started against Sunday World for that. We have got Sowetan that has written a series of articles that were one-sided. We have started a press council process with them, and if it goes civil, then we will also go civil. But in all of this, I think the core message personally from my father is a simple message, is that the divorce is not contested. It can continue unabated. What is contested is settlement with church assets. He would not settle for that. He also does not see why is it that there must be an insurance on his life if it is that is as strange why he wants to leave him. And so from that context, it is that, from that context also it remains that do not include the church members on a personal matter. Let the matter remain with the institutions you started them with, and we will finish it in that way. I'll give over to Priest.
Okay. Thank you very much, NTATE PHUTHI. Suffice to say that from the onset, the Church Council resolved when our father ascended the throne that there should be complete separation of personal matters, of private matters, and church matters. That was at the insistence of our father from the onset. Now, having learned from history, from the previous spiritual leaders, that was done for a purpose. But what we have observed and what we are seeing, especially with some media, as Mr. PHUTHI said, taking sides and reporting on a biased basis on matters that relates to our father's personal life and the church. There's a tendency to conflate the two without separating personal matters. So from the church side, we have previously pronounced that the persistent leadership battle of the IPHC took a new form through deliberate twists, where our father is personally being attacked and his personal matters are being used to discredit him in a bid to dethrone him. We will qualify this shortly. Meanwhile, the strategy has since shifted to the use of law enforcement officers who wantonly initiate prosecutions and persecute our father. This is part of the long-running bid to silence, isolate, and intimidate the IPHC in Jerusalem. The mission by those orchestrating this plot to dethrone our father is nothing other than to humiliate and embarrass him by seeking influence in the court of public opinion. On every untested claim or allegation made, members of the IPHC Jerusalem, including our father himself, are hastily arrested, detained into police cells where pictures are unreservedly shot, even by police officers, and widely shared on social media platforms through fake accounts. Fake news are not a bugbear for politicians. Religion also suffers from fake news too. It is from these same impersonator accounts that content is directed to the courts, while specific media houses are pre-informed and arranged to subjectively feed the public gallery with the intention of embarrassment, ridicule, and intimidation. They act with impunity. They advance anarchy, publish fake news and personal information that violates privacy regulation with fake accounts on social media without fear of the police arresting them, and doing this against what is violating the law. For example, our father appeared in court in Alexandra, having started at the Sandton police station. There was presence of senior members of one of our faction, the Zirbe faction to be precise. Why they were there, because this was a personal matter, we don't know. But we can only assume. Why were traffic officers who are members of the Zirbe faction at the police station, inside the police station, taking pictures in areas that are secluded, where everyone was chased away? It's them that know the intention of that. So we are not saying the police are involved and they use their profession unethically to advance the factional battles. We are not assuming or having an opinion about that. It is a fact. We took action against that, and as we speak, a week after our father appeared in court in April, they removed and deleted those fake accounts. They removed those pictures which they took and posted on those fake accounts, advancing factional battles. And the actions actually are not complete. We are going to take actions until those faces behind fake accounts are revealed or do surface. So we'll do our job at all costs to make sure that this use of police officers and law enforcement agencies, which is against the constitution of this country, and a fair and impartial trial of anyone who is alleged to have committed a particular crime to be used. That is unfair. And not only that, in that matter of an ID fraud that our father is alleged to have committed, all those who were arrested, they were intimidated by the police. They rushed to arrest whoever is associated with the IPHC in Jerusalem, or our father for that matter, including my colleague, as he has said earlier, about this alleged fraud of changing ownership of the car. Firstly, they investigate, or rather they arrest without any investigation concluded, without any evidence. Why? How can you rush an arrest a week and then you take 2 months to investigate? Why were you arresting? What were you arresting it for? And the modus operandi, interestingly so, the arrests that are made, they all happen on Friday. Why? To intimidate, so that someone spent a weekend in jail, so that there's no appearance in court. The courts are closed over the weekend, just to intimidate and to humiliate and embarrass. That's the purpose, nothing else. A recent incident just last week, as I said, this is not an opinion, it's a fact. Just last week, on Youth Day, 16 June, a member of the law enforcement agency claiming to be from the DPCI, the Directorate of Prioritized Criminal Investigation Division of the Hawks in Germiston, make a call and threatened to arrest one of our priests, claiming the imminent arrest follows a case opened by 2 ex-council members and disgruntled church members. These supposed police did mention their names. They mentioned who these ex-council members and members who are disgruntled who opened the case. They mentioned them. Luckily, through wisdom, this priest recorded that call. We have it on record. And we are going to open, or rather he is going to open a case, because this is a trend that we are seeing developing. All senior members of the IPHC in Jerusalem are targeted. The modus operandi of these crew police is to intimidate those alleged to have committed the crime and influence them to take a particular line of response. One or two of those arrested in all these court cases, they were told, this is what you must say so that we release you. Why would you take a fall for somebody? Say it. Tell the truth. Why is that influence? Why is it like that? Having said that, there are police and law enforcement officers of the law who are doing their job in an ethical manner and impartially doing their work in the cases that we are speaking about. Not all of them are bad apples. Now, the big question is why our father is being persecuted and dragged into all sorts of evil things. Our father's only crime, in inverted commas, our only crime that our father is dying for as the leader of the IPHC congregation in Jerusalem is twofold. Firstly, he is being fought against as a result of the church funds currently frozen in various banking institutions pending the finalization of the leadership contestation. That's the first one. They all want the money that got frozen as a result of a leadership case currently in courts that started in 2016. Everyone wants those money. Those monies or funds, they don't belong to any individual. They belong to the children of our Father. They are church funds. They belong to the institution for the development and advancement of social development to help the needy, the destitute, the widows, and the orphans. So they are not going to be given to any individual. Because our Father is the custodian, as the leader of the church, now they are against him so that he can release those funds. They've attempted many times. We have said this before. But because he has authority through his leadership to either unlock or lock those funds, that is why he's being persecuted. And secondly, are the properties of the church, historical properties of the church. You know the incident that happened in Ziribacom in July last year. Those properties belong to the church. You know the incident that happened in Cape Town. Those properties belong to the church. The fight and the persecution of our Father is exactly against that. The issue of the church properties, Mr. PHUTHI referred to it already, has arisen in our father's divorce matter. Sometimes 2 weeks ago, the SABC, in its one of the current affairs program, aired the broadcast of our father's estranged wife claiming that, or crying foul, that the church is involved in personal matters. The church is involved because she is claiming properties that belong to the church. As Mr. PHUTHI said, those properties are not personal estate. Our Father acknowledges and understands that. And we have proof, absolute proof, without beyond reasonable doubt, those properties belongs to the church, not to a personal estate. So because the matter is as before the courts, you have the right as members of the media to even apply to actually access the documents that will give you an armament or even authority to write impartially about or to report impartially about this matter we are talking about. So should the properties of the church be excluded in the divorce matter, the church will not be involved. As I said earlier, we took a resolution as the church council that the church should not get involved, in actual fact must not get involved in personal matters of our Father. Now, So all this, we are saying not because we want to bicker about or we want to be revengeful about what has happened and the reporting that has happened about our father in the past. What is worrying and concerning for us is the nature in which some of the media publications are reporting biased news or have biased reporting against the IPHC in Jerusalem and our father. And that sends a very wrong message. It's not right. Otherwise, we won't respond. And when we keep quiet, it appears as if we either admit or we don't care. And now, the constraint of COVID-19, of limiting religious gatherings, really is constraining and limiting us in communicating effectively to the children of our father in the country and the SADC region, and in actual fact, the South African public in general. So when they see this news, our father is arrested, his aiders are arrested, some priest is threatened to be arrested, what must we do? We are bound to respond. We are bound to sit in a platform like this and also communicate in a manner that it will reach the audience widely. So our last hope is the Minister of Police, the National Commissioner of Police, if they can keep a watchful eye. We have, for over a year now, plead with them to come and speak to us. They haven't. We haven't given up, but we have ended it there. However, it sends a wrong message when police officers, law enforcement officers, take the law into their own hands. They act in a manner that is unethical and against the safety and security regulation. They're supposed to protect and be impartial. If they are doing nothing as the leadership of police, they are sending a very wrong message. That is why these police, influenced by those who are opposed to us or adversaries, are acting with impunity. So therefore, if the fights, all these things continued, they should not see a fault because they are doing nothing. So we appeal to the police leadership to take this matter seriously. We are an institution that in the next 3-4 months will be celebrating 59 years. We are not a Mafikizolo. We've been here, and the history of this church contributing to the social development of this country is documented widely. So the message to our father, maybe before that, to conclude on this matter of church property. Now, because our father is a leader of a church that is assumed to have lots of money, now everyone who claims on his personal estate or capacity thinks that these properties or funds and monies belong to him. They don't belong to him. They belong to the children of our father. They belong to the church. They do a lot of good cause in the country and in the SADC. I'll mention that as I close. So, Mema Khalane should not come and cry foul with falsehood and untruth, because she claims that she pleads poverty, and that is not true. She should actually explain that the millions that she has, where did she get that from? And you have the right to access the public documents in court in terms of what you are saying. You will say, yeah, but the woman is crying that is pleading poverty, the child is not supported, but we are telling you today, it is not the truth that she pleads poverty. That is not the truth. In closing, our message to the children of our father congregating in IPHC Jerusalem and the South African public in general is that we appeal to you to not react impulsively to media reports, including social media. When it comes to social media, at least it is what it is, social media. So take anything and everything that you read in social media with a pinch of salt and read it with caution. When you read about something that is too good to be true, believe me, indeed, it is too good to be true. Read with caution until you hear the other side of the story. The media reports and fake news projecting our father as a criminal are nothing but the mischievous and shameful acts aimed at discrediting and vilifying him. Regardless, we are unwavering in supporting our father in his journey of advancing the cause of social development in South Africa and Southern African Community Development Community, SADC. We have branches outside South Africa that belong to the IPHC in Jerusalem. His great work is witnessed by many, and we are truthful by saying that, who are destitute, the orphans, the widows, and the sick. Since the emergence of COVID-19 in March 2020, our father, through a foundation named after him, Michael Sandlana Foundation, in collaboration with the IPHC in Jerusalem and other donors and sponsors, have distributed over 10,000 food parcels to those in need. Our father has built houses for the elderly and destitute. We have facts and records for that. We should actually be sitting here and sharing with you the good work he has done, but not. Instead, we are talking about matters that are regressive. He has donated over 200 wheelchairs, including some in Lesotho, in just 2-3 months ago. He fed and still feeding an orphanage in the Northwest Province with 123 days a meal daily, and provided school uniforms to a wide range of families. He is not going to be distracted by those who wish him to fail and are after the resources of the church for their own selfish gain. Our father has a majority followership of the three factions. That is not a mistake. It was meant to be, and it shall be. Despite all these tribulations, we will not be deterred in our cause for social and religious justice. Even if it takes up 10 years to reach the destiny of justice, the God Almighty, the great warrior, will fight for us. He is trustworthy, and his promises are not in vain. I thank you in the name of God Almighty. Thank you. So we are open to any Q&A or questions that you may have in this regard. Hopefully, what we have called you for here is worth your reporting and sharing, so that the children of our father and South African public, they know what it is. And most matters are in court, and we appeal for members of the public who love this institution. And we know for a fact that the South African society love this institution because of the choir known as IPCC that has been gracing their homes with tunes that mend their souls, that heal their souls. So we are here to ensure that nothing untoward is reported against this institution. I will take any questions that relate to the church, and NTATE PHUTHI will take any question that relates to personal matters of our father. Yes, it has had a great negative impact on two matters. One is members of the church nourish their spirits and their soul by attending the services. As you know, you go to a church for a spiritual nourishment. The curtailing of the number or the size of the congregation has limited a number of members, especially the elderly, of not coming to church. That's one. And then two, as an institution that obviously has responsibilities of maintenance, we've got lighting and other maintenance, and we are also developing. So when members are not going to the church, so we are not collecting, you know that we survive on offerings. If we're not going to church, we are offering. And one thing that our Father doesn't want in the midst of this COVID-19 is people taking their last penny and say they are making offering. Our Father doesn't want that. So the fact that the members are not congregating, right now as we speak, following the President announcement last week, we have stopped congregating, so we are not congregating. We have closed the church services until the President announced otherwise. So it has greatly, but even the money issue, we are not concerned about money. We are worried about the spiritual nourishment of the children of our Father.
Thank you for your question. Yes, the media reports characterizes me as a front of our Father, and but the media case is reporting on the issue of the fraud case that is in court. But because it's in court, I am a bit limited in the content that I can give around it. Suffice to say that the allegation that has been leveled against me is not true. That's one. And number two is, at the time of the transaction as well, there were two directors, including myself. So perhaps the media could have reported if there was a front, we would have been two fronts. The confirmation that I can give is that, and I choose rather to be specific, is that Sowetan labels me as a front. And I have addressed the question that there was a nomination agreement for the entity in question, and the nomination was for two directors. And there is nothing untoward in being a director. I am independent in executing my fiduciary duties as far as a director is concerned. But the charge is interestingly just against me alone. It is not leveled against my co-director. And this co-director happens to be one of the people that President Ndala spoke about when it was said that the Hawks had called one of the priests. One of those directors are the directors that has also approached the Hawks. I was in court. I was charged. I will be back in court in July. And after I just left court, one of the things I can confirm is that this alleged director is apparently a key witness in the case. He has sent me photos of me stepping out of court. The very same photographs was widely circulated with the other factional people. And in that wide circulation, there is certain assertions that they make that personally attack me, but I elect not to respond to them personally. But in short is, I work for the church. I work under my father as well, and I proudly do work for him. I don't front for him, but I serve the work that he does, and I serve it with pride because I believe in the good work that he does.
Any further questions? No, any further questions? I know your minds, I know there's a big event, political event happening somewhere closer to where we are now. Probably your minds are also focused there. But we are grateful that you came. Thank you very much. And for any questions or the statements that you have, if you may want to peruse and share with other colleagues in the media fraternity, please contact me or Mr. PHUTHI, and we'll gladly share that with you. Because we are good people, we are taught, and we embrace that we should warmly welcome visitors, because by doing so, we would be somehow welcoming the angels. So please do not leave here without grabbing something to eat. So we have prepared something for you. So yeah, have some refreshments, and then you can go to your next assignment. Thank you very much. Yes, I can. Shall I say the media briefing is adjourned?
It's fine.
Sure, I have.